ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Chairman of the Pretoria Memorial Services Council, René Veltman, I welcome you to this memorial service. The inscription on the Scottish monument here in front of us, to the glory of God and in affectionate remembrance of the officers and men of the South African Scottish who laid down their lives in the Great War, 1914 to 1918. Gladly they served and gladly they died. On the plaque at the western entrance to the Burgers Park itself used to be a memorial by Patrick Eagle, inaugurated on the 7th of November 1926, commemorates officers and men of the South African Scottish, 4th South African Infantry Regiment, who fought and died during World War I, 1914 to 1918. And then a brief overview of the battle itself. This most famous battle was fought by South African soldiers in France during the First World War and is always suitably remembered on the Sunday closest to the 16th of July every year. In 1916, the 1st South African Infantry Brigade found itself to be part of the 9th Scottish Division on what was known as the Western Front in Europe during the Great War. The South African Brigade, under the command of Brigadier General H.T. Lucan, was made up of 4 infantry regiments, namely the 1st South African Infantry, Cape of Good Hope Regiment, the 2nd South African Infantry, Natal and Free State Regiment, 3rd South African Infantry, the Transvaal and Rhodesia Regiment, and the 4th South African Infantry, the South African Scottish Regiment, mainly from the Transvaal. On the evening of the 15th of July 1916, the South African Brigade was called upon to assist in clearing the village of Longueval and to capture the Deville wood adjacent to this village. After going into battle of intense fighting, being harassed by German snipers and heavy bombardment, they managed to recapture the village, which was by then reduced to ruins and rubble. The brigade then moved into Deville Wood, later to be described by some survivors as Devil's Wood, meeting fierce resistance and more heavy bombardment. There were no reinforcements, much suffering, numerous acts of bravery, and an excessively heavy toll in human lives. It was the rainy season, and the excessive mud increased the men's suffering and discomfort. On the evening of the 15th of July 1916, the South African Brigade numbered 3,153 men, 121 officers, and 3,032 other ranks. On the morning of the 19th of July 1916, 1,080 men were dead, 1,735 were wounded. Only 338 came out of the battle physically unscathed. The wood itself, with its dense undergrowth, also suffered from heavy artillery shelling and was reduced to a few stumps and broken branches, half buried in mud. It has had to be replanted twice in attempts to get it back to its original condition. There are only 51 South African graves at Deville Wood. There were not sufficient remains of the other 1,029 dead soldiers to bury. A German officer made this entry in his diary on the 17th of July 1916 concerning Deville Wood. The wood was a wasteland of shattered trees, charred and burning stumps, and craters thick with mud and blood, and corpses everywhere. In places, corpses were piled 4 deep. Worst of all was the lowing of the wounded, sounding like a cattle ring at a spring fair. Another historian described the battles as follows. The brigade had hung on the wood without reinforcements or relief for an incredibly long time, 6 days and 5 nights, standing firm against impossible odds. This had also been the first occasion of any significance that South Africans of whatever descent had fought and died together. King George V, while visiting the war cemeteries across Europe after the war and having viewed the rows of headstones in the war cemeteries and referring to the Commonwealth War Graves Commission in 1920, made the following statement. We can truly say that the whole circuit of the earth is girdled with the graves of our dead. Never before in history have a people thus maintained individual memories to their fallen. And in the course of my pilgrimage, I have many times asked myself whether there can be no more potent advocates of peace on earth through the years to come than this mass multitude of silent witnesses to the desolation of war.
No, she's just a member. I'm just a member. Area Vice President.